Time for the Chevy Drive Chicago.com NFC North preview. Let's bring in Tina Nguyen, who has been at Halas Hall all day before the Bears take off for Las Vegas on Saturday. Tina.
With a shot at their first road victory in Las Vegas and a chance to build off of last week's performance, it's also another step for Ben Johnson in building his relationship with Caleb Williams.
At this level, the best coaches I've been around, and I think it's an art, they're the demanding ones, that there's a vision for how a play needs to go, or there's a vision for how a fundamental needs to be executed, and you don't waver from that belief, and you make sure we're getting it right. And so, I try the best I can to emulate some of those good ones I've been around in my past, and I think that's probably where I've seen some downfalls of certain coaches is they have been afraid of conflict and telling a player how he sees it. I learned over the last few years that, when there's silence, there's usually negativity fills that void and breeds some resentment either way in a relationship. And so if you feel a certain type of way, it doesn't matter if you're the player or you're the coach, you need to bring that out and make sure we're all on the same page. We all have the same goal at the end of the day.
And that continues on Sunday when the Bears face the Raiders. And keeping Caleb Williams clean this week won't be easy, especially against a Raiders defense with Maxx Crosby, Darnell Wright officially ruled out, Theo Benedict set to make his first NFL start at right tackle.
That was the plan all along. That was, what I had my eyes fixed on, but I'm not done, This was just the beginning for me. I wanted to get to the point where I would have this opportunity to prove myself.
We saw a continuation of training camp, which is a player that's going to battle his tail off. He commits to the fundamentals. He plays with low pad level. He comes off the ball. He's willing to strike you. I think as a pass protector, he continues to get better every single day. We see that. Coach Rochar and Kyle DeVan, they're on him. And really, I think he's taken a step in the right direction. I have a lot of confidence in him. If he goes out there and is called upon, he's going to go out there and battle it out.
While Benedict makes his first start, Kyler Gordon returned to practice today for the first time in weeks.
I definitely was itching, and then, watching the preseason game, I was getting jealous of everybody getting to play and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely, hard, watching. But, like I said, all I could do is just work my hardest to get back out there as fast as I can, and that's about it. Even with this bye week that we're going to get, I'm going to stay here and keep training, keep working, because I'm going to go try to get those plays, those reps, the running, conditioning that I missed, and try to build that up.
Great to hear from Kyler Gordon as he continues to work his way back. Gordon also added that this is his first time dealing with a hamstring injury, so to have it happen twice in a short period of time, he's also been more focused on taking care of his body. In other injury news, Grady Jarrett and TJ Edwards are officially ruled out, while Colston Loveland and DeAndre Swift are both questionable. Lou and Cassie, back to you in studio.
All right, thanks very much, Tina. Tina had a chance to chat with Theo Benedict, who's now going to be on that offensive line with Darnell Wright sitting this game out. And I hated calling Game 3 a must-win, but I did. And I'm going to call Week 4 a must-win now to prove those doubters who said, hey, yeah, Dallas is one of the worst teams in the NFL because of their awful defense. That's why the Bears win. This is a great opportunity for the Bears to prove those people wrong. And I get it. We always want to get the run game going, which has been an issue for this Bears team. But I truly believe that Caleb Williams is going to have time, opportunities to throw downfield against a back seven for the Raiders, which isn't very good.
Well, I think Caleb Williams is confident, right? He won NFC Offensive Player of the Week, and whether or not he downplayed it or not, that's got to give you some juice, especially when you have the coaching from Ben Johnson. And I think it's the marriage of the play calling and the quarterback now starting to align. They're becoming a little bit more familiar with each other and what the flow of the game might feel like. And Ben Johnson pointed that out about Caleb Williams right after the game on Sunday, saying he got the play call in and they got to the line of scrimmage a lot faster than the first 2 weeks, and that allows Caleb Williams to survey everything. And I think when you look at the matchup against the Raiders defense, there's really one player that you're looking out for, and it's Maxx Crosby. Ben Johnson said he thinks he's a top 5 player, defensive player in this league. You have to account for him at all times. I like what Declan Doyle said, because he's faced him 4 times in the last 2 years while he was in Denver, and he's like, that's a guy that you always need to know where he's at. Now, the Theo Benedict is interesting because he's going to be playing right tackle because Darnell Wright can't go. So here's a guy undrafted out of Canada. I don't think people know much about him. I don't know if he knows much about what it's going to be like to start and play and line up against Maxx Crosby on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Having said that, Cassie, I don't think he's Micah Parsons.
No.
I don't think he's TJ Watt. All right? I don't think he's Myles Garrett. So teams have stopped him. Bears historically have stopped him. In 2 other meetings, I think he's got 3 sacks. So the Bears have done a good job, and I think that Ben Johnson and Declan Doyle and Dan Richard are going to come up with a game plan to stymie Max Crosby.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that we're starting to see this offensive line, all 5, work as one, because we saw it a little bit more last week. They want to continue to see that not only in the run game, but in pass protection, where they didn't give up a single sack to Caleb Williams for the first time in his NFL career. So we saw what that allowed Williams to do, being more comfortable in the pocket. Now, I think it's going to be interesting to see the tight end usage, because Cole Kmet could help out with that right side next to Theo Benedict or Colston Loveland, who's questionable with that hip injury. And maybe it's more of a game plan like they had against the Vikings. And Ben Johnson has acknowledged that when people were questioning where are the tight ends in the passing game, he's like, well, in week 1, we knew that they were going to see Brian Flores throw all these different looks at him. So the tight ends were primarily helping out in protection in that way. So I think maybe it's more of a similar game plan in that sense when they're facing Max Crosby and trying to help out Theo Benedict a little bit more on the right side.
I love the fact that you talked about the relationship growing between Caleb Williams and head coach Ben Johnson and really the coaching staff. What I noticed in that last game against Dallas was they got the play call to him very quickly, gave him the chance to get to the line of scrimmage. With about 15 seconds left on the play clock, he was able to take his time, see what was in front of him defensively, make changes, understand, put himself in a good position. That is part of growing together. Ben Johnson talked about the offensive line growing together. A lot of new faces up front. Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, Joe Thuney, all playing with Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones. It's going to take time, and it's one of the reasons why Ben Johnson, from the start, folks, all right, even before the season started, he said, I can't wait to get to the early bye week to give me a chance to take a deep breath with my coaching staff, and we can talk about what we have.
Well, I think you look at the Bears' schedule, and we've talked about this quite a few times now, and the first 4 games were going to be tough, right? Because you do have a new head coach. You have an offense learning a difficult offensive scheme, and we thought it was going to take a little bit more time to gel. I think the loss at Detroit was so lopsided that it was alarming to a lot of people. But I think that's why you mentioned going to Vegas and getting this win, not only stringing 2 together in a row, going into the bye back at 500, right? Suddenly it's a totally different story to your season, and then you flip the page into October, opening back up in prime time against the Commanders, and maybe you can start to rewrite the initial story of the season. That's why I think momentum plays a huge part in this, and I think not only is it seeing Caleb Williams to continue to take steps forward, it's seeing the coaching staff show that they are starting to trust him more and more by putting more on him, and that's something that Declan Doyle said. You know, Caleb Williams had a really good week of practice last week. This week on Thursday was going to be an important day, and they're putting more on him this Thursday than they did last Thursday. And they're going to continue to take that same approach as they go throughout the season.
So, who do you like?
Oh, I actually love the Bears in this one.
Oh, I like
that. I know.
that.
I mean, obviously, it's going to be a huge Bears contingency at Allegiant Stadium. I was talking to some friends who flew out early. Of course, why wouldn't you go to Vegas a day early? And they said majority of their flight Bears fans going to see the Bears try to get their 2nd straight win of the season. And Declan Doyle admitted you want to practice silent cadence anytime you're going on the road, but they are ready to adjust and go back to their normal cadence if the Bears fans show up and it's quiet when the offense is on the field.
Make some noise, Bears fans. I like the Bears to win 30-21 as well. Go into the bye week 2-2, ready to regroup for those last 13 games. Last I looked, by the way, the average ticket, about $590. And just to get in the joint, just to get into Allegiant Stadium, it's almost $300. But talk to your VIP host at your casino, because if you're playing, I'm sure they've got tickets in Vegas for you.